CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Tonight, joining us now live is the superintendent of the Greater Victoria School District, John Gateman. Mr. Gateman, thanks for being here. What a difference a year makes. The last school year was a difficult one. How does it feel today? A little different?
Oh, it's completely different, Hudson. I can't tell you. Last year was a difficult year. You know, when we're talking about job action and essential services, when we should be talking about what it takes to make sure the students thrive and do as well as they can, that I'm so much more comfortable with what we walked into this year.
Teachers are concerned, though, as we saw in Aaron's report about these curriculum changes. They don't feel they were part of the process. For parents watching tonight, what kinds of changes might be on the horizon for their students in your district this year?
Well, there isn't changes this year. The changes will be implemented later on. Most of them will be implemented in September of 2013. This is really a year to go out there and to discuss it. There'll be a lot of chance for feedback. I know that in the Greater Victoria School District, we'll be holding evenings where parents can find out what's happening with curriculum, what are the government's ideas, how does that fit into Greater Victoria's ideas of making education relevant and engaging and flexible. These will all be discussion items that we'll be having throughout the year.
Is there a concern that you've heard, or is it a legitimate concern that we're getting carried away with choice over some of the core building blocks of the curriculum?
No, I'm a big believer in choice, and I don't think that choice means that you don't have the building blocks. We concentrate just as heavily on the building blocks, but if we can find a hook, if we can allow somebody to explore their passion by coming to school and specializing in an area while still working on the building blocks, we're going to do that. The idea is in personalizing education is to find the hook. What makes a child want to come to school, want to learn more, want to become an expert in something. A choice allows that to happen, but it doesn't mean that they won't get the building blocks that they've always had before.
Speaking of blocks and bricks and mortar, briefly, where are we with the new Oak Bay High School? What's the status of that project?
Well, we've been working all summer to make sure that things are ready. This is the key year for the Oak Bay replacement school. We have asked for and received submissions for the RFQ. As soon as we've been able to go through the submissions, we will then start our process on the RFP and going from there. You know, our hope, Hudson, is that we are looking at putting a hole in the ground and building that new school come April of this school year.
All right, we'll watch for that. School District 61 Superintendent John Gateman, thanks.
Thank you, Hudson.
Victoria Police are asking for your help as they try to track down a 22-year-old man with a history of violence. Police say Desmond White is considered armed and dangerous. White's parole identification was found at the Saanich Fair on Saturday, and police believe he is still in the area. White is a federal parolee serving a sentence for break and enter and uttering threats. He failed to return to his halfway house in Surrey 2 weeks ago. Police say if you see Desmond White, do not approach him, but call 911. It is election night in Quebec, and that province and the rest of the country may wake up tomorrow morning to the return of the separatist agenda. After 35 days of campaigning, the Parti Québécois may be about to end its 9 years in opposition. The polls suggest there is change in the air in Quebec as the sovereigntist PQ has been leading throughout the campaign. Premier Jean Charest and his Liberals have been in power since 2003 with 3 straight election victories. But PQ leader Pauline Marois, who voted in her Quebec City area riding today, could make history by becoming Quebec's first woman premier. Polls suggest, though, that if she and the PQ win, it may not be enough for a majority government. In the U.S., the Democrats called their national convention to order this afternoon, kicking off a 3-day rally to renominate President Barack Obama to seek a second term in the White House. First Lady Michelle Obama speaks tonight and will focus on the battle for women voters. The president will not be in attendance. Obama wrapped up a campaign swing through the battleground state of Virginia today. He will watch the speech from the Oval Office. To Ottawa now, and some dramatic pictures to show you. A sinkhole in the capital city's east end swallowed a car whole. The driver suffered minor injuries and was able to climb out on his own. What exactly happened and what caused the roadway to give way remains unclear. One other note on this back-to-school day, police are reminding you to keep an eye on your speedometers as you travel through school zones. Officers want you to make sure you remember it's a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone during school hours, which falls between 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. If you're speeding in the school zone, you'll face a hefty fine. Police say we need to be extra vigilant and keep an eye out for young students crossing who may not be watching for traffic. We begin with breaking political news this hour. On the eve of the expected cabinet shuffle by Premier Christy Clark, another senior minister is out. This time it's Transportation Minister Blair Leckstrom, who late this afternoon declared that he will not run for re-election in next May's provincial election. Leckstrom says he has spent 20 years in public office and now it's time to move on. So our legislature reporter Stephen Andrew joins us now with more on what turned out to be a surprise announcement. Stephen.
Yes, Hudson, certainly was a surprise. Now, Blair Leckstrom has had strong roots in his community, 3 years as a city councillor and 5 years as mayor, the last 12 years of his political career in provincial politics. Now, it's been rumoured for some time that another senior cabinet minister was going to step aside. The Peace River South MLA has stepped aside before. He quit cabinet and the Liberal Party in 2010 over the HST debacle. At that time, his resignation was seen as the beginning of the end for then Premier Gordon Campbell. But Hudson, he is extremely popular in his constituency. His decision to leave is definitely a heavy hit for the Premier. But it's not all dire news for the Premier. Rich Coleman, rumoured to be preparing to jump ship as well, says he will run in the next election. The Energy Minister says he's going to seek another term in Fort Langley, Aldergrove next May. He says he is committed to Premier Christy Clark and her vision and wants to see the province's economy move forward. His seat is a definite bet for the Liberals in the next election, Hudson.
Now, Stephen, this is a blow to the Premier, who may be dying a death of 1,000 cuts, as one by one her cabinet members and her caucus members. We had two backbenchers saying that they weren't going to run today. That didn't cause much of a ripple. You spoke on your talk show this morning on CFAX 1070 with Ida Chong, senior cabinet member on the island, who says she is running again. What did she tell you?
Well, I mean, she's taken the position, look, there are a lot of people in the backbenches that are definitely strong. They certainly can move forward with that. But she is not surprised that people are stepping aside. She said she spent a lot of years in public life. She was first elected, Hudson, in 1996. And she said, you know, simply after a while, you get tired. And she says she certainly has the energy to move forward with her career. And she believes that Christy Clark can turn it around. The question is, though, is whether the public is going to listen to that message or not.
But last week it was George Abbott, Kevin Falcon, John Ladd. I mean, you need a program. Mary McNeil. Who is left for this cabinet shuffle that we may see tomorrow? And would the Premier do it tomorrow with a walkout by government employees?
Well, talking about John, she did kind of let it slip that possibly that was going to happen tomorrow, but of course with this major labour strike that's taking place throughout British Columbia tomorrow, she might get lost in all the news, but certainly it would steal the thunder of the government workers. But it's certainly going to be a very interesting situation. The Teachers Federation in Greater Victoria told me today that they're very happy that George Abbott is out, and they're going to watch with interest to see who the next education minister is going to be.
All right, interesting days ahead, Stephen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, after the last year of labour unrest, teachers are heading into this school year with an air of guarded optimism that came to an end with the imposed legislation and the final acceptance of a one-year contract that was brought down on them. But the president of the BC Teachers Federation says tonight she's concerned that the province is now trying to bribe her members into accepting larger class sizes. The union says teachers in grades 4 to 7 who have more than 30 students in their classroom are being offered $2,500 a year for the extra students. Some high school teachers are being offered more than $300 extra per student. Union President Susan Lambert says it's a bribe. She says the extra cash will not do anything to benefit the students' education.
We're stretched so tight, we're no longer able to adequately provide children with the individual attention and programs they need. So that's the angst, and it's an angst that can be addressed by government or ignored by government. This government has ignored it for about 10, 11 years now. $3.3 billion robbed from the system. You cannot have that happen.
The teachers have a contract now. It will expire at the end of the current school year. There is also some anxiety among teachers that they were not part of the planning process for curriculum change. Elsewhere, thousands of students were excited to go back to their classrooms in Nanaimo today, but maybe not as thrilled as some of their parents. Students poured into Dover Bay Secondary this morning. The parents say they're glad to have the kids back in class, even happier that their teachers are back to work. And are not working to rule as they did last fall. The teachers had a one-year contract brought down on them. It's business as usual in the classrooms for the school year. Parents are hoping it'll make for a smoother year in the classroom than last year's was.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, they've got new administration, so that's always sometimes can be a scary thing. Like to find out what that's going to be all about this year. But no, I'm hopeful. Glad the teachers are back.
Oh yeah, I think it would be better. I'm thinking positively.
I just think that they've got things under control and that they're moving in the right direction.
I just want them to focus on the education, and I want to have peace of mind that my kids can plan things like their projects without having to worry about problems with the school.
The current teacher's contract expires at the end of this school year. Teachers concerned that they have not been part of the consultation leading up to the discussion of curriculum change this year. RCMP and the Comox Valley are looking for your help tonight as they try to track down a parolee who was supposed to arrive in Courtenay by bus. His name is Barry Friesen. He left Red Deer by bus heading for BC, but never checked in with a parole officer in Courtenay. He does have contacts throughout the province, and police believe he could be anywhere. Friesen has a tattoo on his wrist with the name Katrina and the phrase City of Angels. There's a Canada-wide warrant for the arrest of Barry Friesen. If you see him, you're asked to contact police immediately.